So we're approaching the town of Brockville, aptly named the gateway to the Thousand Islands. As you can see, there's a chain of islands, McNair Islands, that run across the St. Lawrence River, and you got to pass through those islands and you're into the Thousand Islands. McNair Island here, the first of the Thousand Islands. Looks like some old bridge abutments on the west end of the island there. Entering the Brockville group of islands. So the first island in the Brockville group is Skelton Island on the right. See the Brockville Narrows with all the traffic. The first island on the left is Refugee Island. And we have a ship coming down the Brockville Narrows. So maybe I'll do some filming when we get up to the ship. Chemical tanker coming down through the Brockville Narrows. The Elgo Canada. Looks like he's light, no cargo. They don't put out too much of a wake when they're going downbound with the current. Here's an interesting island out in the middle of the St. Lawrence River. This one's called Crossover Island, with one lonely little cottage and a lighthouse. Not much shade. Yeah, Gananoque boat line. This is, I guess, a bit of a downside to the Thousand Islands. There's lots of tour boat traffic. I guess they, it's part of the scene. So they don't bother me. Here we are passing Singer Castle on the Thousand Islands. Nice little cottage. Oh. Yeah. So this here is an interesting feature in the Thousand Islands. This is known as Fiddler's Elbow, and as you can see, the currents are very strong with whirlpools and large boils, and a kind of twisty route through the islands here, called Fiddler's Elbow. Demonstration of some more of the currents in Fiddler's Elbow. Pretty strong. Oh, they're throwing us around pretty good. Autopilot won't hold through here. Got the current coming in between those two islands, meeting the downbound current from Fiddler's Elbow. Gananoque Narrows. Yeah. Gananoque Narrows. Here's a nice little somebody's private harbor by the looks of it. I sure would like to have a private harbor. I think I'd get a multi-hull if I had a private harbor like that. I just looked behind me and this is what I saw. It looks like a squall line coming down on us. No big deal, we got the Bimini and the Dodger. Well, Nikki and the baby are actually down below sleeping. But I just thought it was some interesting footage, seeing what a squall-like line coming down through the Thousand Islands looks like. I'm guessing it'll be here pretty soon, so I gotta go find a rain jacket. Well, that was less than 10 minutes, way less. It took me about 60 seconds to go down and get my rain jacket, and it was on us. I see another line coming, so I'm guessing it's going to get worse before it gets better. No big deal. The wind won't bother us. I mean, we're built for offshore sailing, and we're in protected waters. The only hassle is staying dry. Alright, I've slowed her right down now. We're heading into the main shipping channel, and I can't really see too far ahead. I have an AIS receiver, but you know, traffic comes up on you so fast in the St. Lawrence River that it's not really of much value. So I'm just going to slow down. So when we came down the river, the leaves had just barely started to change. When we came up the river, I should say, but now coming down the river, you can see there's quite a bit of change going on in the leaves, so winter is coming. Passing our port side right now is Lone Brother Island. Seems like an appropriate name. Very lonely island. Here's a guy that likes to sail out here in a sunfish out in the middle of the river. Nice little cottage here called Little Sister Island. So here we are departing Grenadier Island, September the 9th. We had some challenges we faced this morning. One is Nikki is completely incapacitated with something, and so I had to make breakfast and watch the boy and walk the dog all on my own, and then when I went to start the boat, it wouldn't start. So I had to troubleshoot the engine problems while watching the boy. And I discovered a loose connection on the start battery. So my solution was to, rather than tightening up the connection, which I guess I should have done, but I was really short-handed. What I did was I just jumped the starter using the house battery directly to the cable, bypassing the start battery entirely, and that worked great. As you can hear, we're running. It only took a few minutes. A few details I wanted to go over people may find useful is the type of equipment that I brought with me to navigate in the Thousand Islands. Contrary to what you might think, I haven't used a GPS really at all, and I don't have a depth sounder on board this boat, and really they're not necessary for cruising the Thousand Islands. I mean, their cruising guides and the charts and the channels are you know, so well marked that you really don't need any kind of fancy electronics. One piece of electronics I use or rely on heavily is my Autopilot. Now you can do it without it, but as you can see, I'm taking care of a 2-year-old and a dog and single-handing a boat at the same time. A big boat, a 35-foot full-keeled boat. So the Autopilot's critical for me. The other piece of electronics I use is a handheld VHF radio. Now I've got a big radio downstairs. I've got my GX2200 with AIS receiver. I don't use that in the Thousand Islands. I use that passage making on open water. I don't know what kind of good an AIS receiver would do in the islands. So really the only electronics I'm using is a handheld VHF. I have two actually, one for the dinghy and one for the mothership. Handheld VHF and the Autopilot, that's it. No need for depth sounder. You know, you could be your depth sounder could be showing 20 feet under your keel 1 second, and the next second you could be on top of a rock. You're much better off using your charts than trying to use a depth sounder, because it's not really effective in these really shoaly waters. The Thousand Islands are old mountains, and so you know they're very steep peaks, and you know so you can detect nothing, then wham, you're on a rock. So it's better to use prudence and charts and marked navigational channels than a depth sounder. Okay, so that's it for electronics. Like I said, VHF and Autopilot, and Autopilot you can do without. So the next thing that I use that I find just amazing is my ports guide. Hopefully you can see that. That's Lake Ontario and the Thousand Islands. This is a beautiful, beautiful detailed guide that tells you everything. I mean, here, I'll open it up. Illustrated photos of the different islands. It shows you where rocks are coming into islands. There's very detailed descriptions showing, you know, if there's a dock, if there's an anchorage, you know, everything's in here. So I find for, you know, when I'm transiting between islands, that I use charts, and when I'm making landfall to the islands, I rely heavily on the ports guide, and it gives you pilotage marks. You know, steer on this island to get there, to reach this destination, and that sort of thing. The next thing that I use is a Richardson's chart book. I guess you could say a chart book isn't as good as a full-size chart, but my problem is, you know, when I'm in the islands, I do all my navigating in the cockpit, and so there's no chart table in the cockpit. So I can have the Richardsons open, and I just follow along, mentally marking off buoys as I pass them. We're on this chart right here, approaching Brockville. Every time I pass a buoy, I just take a look at the chart book and say, okay, I'm there. And it shows water depths for approaching islands and that sort of thing. Third piece of paper that I use, and the last, is a log book. I keep a very detailed log, and I can use that to refer to when I'm going back to the same island on multiple occasions. So yeah, keep a detailed log, water depths, and what you did where. Especially maintenance is a big one for me that goes into the log. Okay, cough it out. And the last piece of kind of navigational tool I use are binoculars. I use two binoculars. I've got a Bushnell. What do we have here? (7 by 35) Bushnell, and a 10 by 50 Tasco. And you really do need both sets of binoculars. So yeah, that's what I use to navigate. Well, folks, that's it. That's the Thousand Islands. That was about 6 days and 6 nights each of cruising in and around the Thousand Islands. It was a fantastic trip. According to my log, we logged about 90 miles within the islands themselves, kind of in the Thousand Islands. We stopped at Gordon Island, Grenadier Island, Mulcaster Island, Adelaide Island, and Gananoque. And yeah, it was a fantastic trip. You know, it's great being out in semi-wilderness. You know, there's lots of cottages and stuff around, and services. But yeah, I would recommend the Thousand Islands for cruising in any size boat. I think the smaller the boat, the better. I wouldn't want to do it in something much bigger than this boat, 35 feet. I've done it in much smaller boats, dinghies. Alright, thank you. That concludes the Thousand Islands sail. Thank you for watching the Arcbrook channel.